Courage. Courage was scarcely deemed worthy to be counted among virtues, unless it was exercised in the cause of righteousness. In his Analects, Confucius defines courage by explaining, as is often his wont, what its negative is. Perceiving what is right, he says, and doing it not, argues lack of courage. Put this epigram into a positive statement, and it runs, courage is doing what is right. To run to all kinds of hazards, to jeopardize oneself, to rush into the jaws of death, these are far too often identified with valor, and in the profession of arms, such rashness of conduct, what Shakespeare calls valor misbegot, is unjustly applauded, but not so in the precepts of knighthood. Death is a cause unworthy of dying for, was called a dog's death. To rush into the thick of battle and be slain in it, says Prince of Mito, is easy enough, and the merest churl is equal to the task. But it is true courage to live when it is right to live, and to die only when it is right to die. And yet the prince had not heard the name of Plato, who defines courage as the knowledge of things that a man should fear, that he should not fear. A distinction is made in the West between moral and physical courage, has long been recognized among us. What samurai youth has not heard of great valor, or the valor of a villain? Valor, fortitude, bravery, fearlessness, courage, being the qualities of soul which appeal most easily to juvenile minds, and which can be trained by exercise and example, were, so to speak, the most popular virtues, early emulated among the youth. Stories of military exploits were repeated almost before the boys left their mother's breast. Does my little booby cry for any ache? The mother scolds him in this fashion. What a coward to cry for trifling pain. What will you do when your arm is cut off in battle, when you are called on to commit hara-kiri? We all know the pathetic fortitude of a famished little boy prince of Sendai, who in the drama is made to say to his little page, "Seeth those tiny sparrows in the nest, how their yellow bills are opened wide, and now see, there comes their mother with worms to feed them. How happily and eagerly the little ones eat. But for a samurai, when his stomach is empty, it is a disgrace to feel hunger." Oh, hello there. I didn't see you guys come in. Welcome to Bitcoin Talk Show. I was just reading a little bit about samurais from the Code of the Samurai, Bushido, the soul of Japan. And he was talking about courage. And that last part, even when his stomach is empty, for a samurai, it is a disgrace to feel hunger. And what they're talking about is control, right? A samurai must have strength. A samurai creates his own conditions. A samurai isn't affected by the world. The world might say, be hungry and give up. Samurai says, no, I'm a samurai. I'm going to keep going. And that's what they're talking about. They're talking about true courage. They're not talking about running blindly into battle and being killed. That's foolishness. That's valor misbegot. That's a fool's courage. A smart person is courageous when they need to be and runs when they have to, much like George Washington, the great retreater. Washington had a smaller army. Washington had a less well-trained army, and Washington had no hope for reinforcements. When there was a battle that he couldn't win, he ran away. He waited for a massive battle that he could win, where the land was right, where his forces were right, and when he could finally fight. The rest of the time, Washington ran. Look it up. And this is Bitcoin Talk Show. Today is Wednesday, August 15th, 2018. My name is Thomas Hunt, and here's what's happening today in Bitcoin. The price of Bitcoin is up 4.25% in the last 24 hours, with a last of 6,459, a high of 6,488, and a low of 5,997. That's $1 for 15,514 Satoshis. Let's spin the wheel. Actually, today it's going very well for the top 10 altcoins. Ethereum up 6%, Bitcoin Cash up 3%, EOS up 3%, Ethereum Classic up 5%, Litecoin up 6%, Ripple up 7%, Qtum up 1.5%, and Dash up 13%. Tron rounds out the top 10, up 6%. We've also got the top distributed applications, still less than 5,000 users for the top five. Bancor moves into the top five, but still only had 400 users yesterday. Checking the most popular and most active blockchains, it's pretty much the same with EOS, BitShares, and Steam taking the lead, followed by Ethereum, whose blockchain never clears and is at 100% capacity again, while Bitcoin had another block and is back to 55% capacity. As always, you can support the World Crypto Network by donating now to the QR codes on your screen. You can also support the World Crypto Network at our patreon.com/WCN, where 32 patrons are donating $239 a month to support this show. Or at patreon.com/madbitcoins, where 80 patrons are donating $483 a month to keep us on the air. We also had a donation yesterday on Tallycoin. Thank you so much to donor 0.000787743 for donating to our Tallycoin fundraiser, where we're attempting to raise $1 million to spread the word about Bitcoin. And now, everyone's favorite part of the show, yesterday's comments. Yesterday's comments. Yesterday on Bitcoin Talk Show, we got 163 likes, leading to 1,316 views, thanks to your support. We also got some comments. I don't know why, but people are trying to make the most noise possible in the hallway. It's incredibly distracting. Imagine that you started your show and it was time to make the most noise that people could. Not distracting at all. Christopher Jennings would like to call in and give his experience running a Lightning Network GUI successfully on Windows and sending a Lightning payment on his smartphone, but he thinks the conversation would take a very long time. Well, you've got to learn, man. Brevity is the quintessence of wit. Oscar Wilde. And of course, it was blocking on his name, people making lots of noise. Hold on a second. I'm going to see about this noise. It's just going to keep going. All right, we're going to try to keep going on the show. It was time to vacuum. They waited till we started the show. But you can call in anytime, Christopher. Zaza Yaya says, awesome show. He's a big fan of the call in format. Thanks to Brett Erickson for time stamping the show. Brett time stamped it at 1:33 and 33 seconds. Fractional reserve with Lightning. Can I spend my Bitcoin from layer 1 and layer 2 at the same time? I don't think so. I think your Bitcoin that's locked in a payment channel is locked in a payment channel, and your Bitcoin that's not locked in a payment channel is able to be spent. So once it's on Lightning, it can be Lightning. Once it's on Bitcoin, it can be Bitcoin, but it can't be both at the same time. Thanks to Jose Ortega for saying this is a great episode as always. He's catching up on this episode this morning so he can watch today's episode later in the afternoon. Almost too much WCN for Jose. And he says when Bitcoin Cash goes to zero, Roger turns back into a pumpkin. And if you're putting a test comment, you're probably likely to get banned. You might be incredibly offensive if you have to put test comments up all over the place. But thank you so much for commenting on the show, and thanks for giving us a thumbs up and a share. That really helps more people learn about the show. Trouble on the horizon. What last weekend's ruckus means for the Bitmain IPO. And Bitcoin Magazine, not the mainstream media, but some kind of media, has taken notice of all of the negative comments about Bitmain that went out on Twitter. How everyone is concerned that they aren't releasing their quarter 2 stats. their quarter two inventory likely shows incredible losses for Bitmain, as during quarter two they made the mistake of buying Bitcoin Cash and selling Bitcoin. A post that some referred to as selling gold to buy yellow trinkets. They're very nice yellow plastic trinkets, but they're not as nice as gold. We've got more news from Samson Mao. Remember, this is just a rumor from the internet. But according to Samson, he has it on good authority that both Tencent and SoftBank passed on the Bitmain IPO. So the article from Coindesk, once again, is incorrect. Savvy investors will pass because of the illiquid BCH bags, the massive unsold inventory, and that they lost their key chip designer. I didn't know about that. And that they failed their next generation chips. I had kind of an idea that they might have had a problem with their next generation chips, seeming how they still have the S9 online and for sale. It seems far too long. It's a very old miner to be on the market, and that's just an amateur looking at this from far away, not someone actually studying the prospectus with the intention to invest. Coders renew effort to fork mining giant Bitmain off of the Coin blockchain. And it's very interesting to see Coin had their own plan to make their own ASICs, but were beat to the market by Bitmain, who was able to launch Coin ASICs before the Coin people. Naturally, the Coin people don't like this, and they have code to stop it. Much like Monero a couple of months ago when they altered their mining algorithms to stop ASIC mining, Coin is also looking to do the same. Someone was joking in the comments that we might see Coin Cash before too long, just as Bitmain also forked of Monero to create a copy of that. It's looking more and more likely that the Chinese mining giant will, in the tradition of Silicon Valley, make their own copy of everything that we've made here in America and the rest of the world. That means not just a copy of Bitcoin, but also a copy of Litecoin, a copy of Ethereum. Oops, there's already one, and a copy of any other altcoin they can try to mine before they're blocked. More bad news for Bitmain. Bitcoin is useless as a payment mechanism and ridiculous as a store of value, the ex PayPal CEO says. It's right there in the headline. I don't know how the mainstream media can keep producing this. I have to go back in time for you now and bring you a fantastic quote from George Carlin. Again, this is the work of the master. I have a very important message from the National Pancake Council. The National Pancake Council would like to announce today, fuck waffles. And there it is. A classic joke, probably from the 1960s or 70s. I think he told it on Johnny Carson or maybe on one of his specials because it is, of course, profane and features a curse word. But again, how can you trust the National Pancake Council's opinion on waffles? Obviously, they like pancakes. Obviously, PayPal likes PayPal. Uh, PayPal, I would say this is equally true of PayPal. It's useless as a payment mechanism and ridiculous as a store of value. Only a fool would store his money in PayPal where it's constantly frozen and taken away from you. I don't know anybody that sells on eBay that hasn't had their PayPal account frozen at some point. Ironically, when PayPal originally started, because I have read the PayPal book, PayPal wanted to be Bitcoin. PayPal wanted to be a digital currency that was all around the world, censorship resistant, and allowed you to buy anything. Of course, in their internal meetings, they immediately realized that such an internet type coin would be useful for gambling, for buying drugs, for buying weapons, for buying people, for buying anything, right? If you really made a proper, true, and internet based digital currency like PayPal talked about in their infancy, they would not be able to control it. The PayPal client would be only one of many places where you could use these PayPal coins or whatever around the internet, and they decided against it. They decided to be controlled and to build the banker version of an internet currency. And this led to PayPal charging excessive fees. This led to PayPal acting as eBay's fraud department, freezing accounts, good and bad, scammers and proper eBay sellers alike, and led to everyone distrusting and disliking PayPal. Now, PayPal's trying to get a leg up on the competition, saying that Bitcoin is useless as a payment mechanism and ridiculous as a store of value. It's not working. We all know that you work for the Pancake Council and that you've come here today to destroy and bash on waffles, which you say aren't as good as pancakes. No one will believe you. Correction. Coinbase says it was signing up 50,000 users a day last year. Well, Bloomberg, this is not how you do a correction. When you want to correct something, you don't repeat the same false fact again. This is just like those accursed ATM machines they've put in everywhere where it says, don't remove card. Guess what? Two words are on the screen already. Remove card. If you don't read the don't part, you don't get it. And right here, this correction doesn't even feature the correction. How many users a day are they signing up? Which part of this is not true, et cetera, et cetera. Terrible job, Bloomberg. But like DJ Booth says, don't worry. You're just wrong by 9 months. Oh, it's just a factor of 1,000. You're just completely wrong. And as they've said, last year they said they were signing up 50,000 users a day. This year, now they're signing up less. But that really doesn't matter because let's go to the next article. Blow to Bitcoin as Coinbase CEO makes stark warning. Brian Armstrong is warning you that it's going to be a long time before you come to Starbucks and accept Bitcoin, and that it's going to be a long time before you can buy anything with Bitcoin, and it's hard to use it on the street. Here it is right here. This technology is going through a series of bubbles and corrections, and each time it does that, it's at a new plateau. People's expectations are all over the map, but real world adoption has been going up. Good. And again, Brian Armstrong's been negative about Bitcoin since he made all of his money on Ethereum and opened Coinbase up to be the next Cryptsy. Coinbase could have been a great company. They could have been the place where you buy Bitcoin. It's not confusing. It doesn't try to sell you Bitcoin Cash. It doesn't try to sell you Ethereum Classic or any of these coins that you'd need a 6 months history course in the last 2-3 years of Bitcoin history to buy. It could just be a place where it says, hey, you can get $20 worth of Bitcoin right now. Instead, they don't have any kind of notification of that. They try to confuse you, get confused about the units, and then get you to buy something cheaper because it makes more fees for them. That's right. Coinbase, in a shocking move, but not that shocking because they've been against Bitcoin for quite a while now, continues to bite the hand that feeds it. Coinbase and their CEO hate the thing that made them rich, powerful, and popular. Much like Roger Ver, this bizarre play keeps acting out where Bitcoin makes these people rich, it makes these people famous, and then these people attack Bitcoin. I just don't understand it. It keeps happening. What would it take to become a trillionaire? Obvious picture of Jeff Bezos in the background. Apple has crossed over into the 4 comma club. What would it take for a person to do the same? Well, I'm afraid in cryptocurrency, we already know. It would take the market cap of Ripple. Because if I have a trillion coins, let's call them Tom coins, and I sell one of my Tom coins to Jeremy in the audience for $1, suddenly there's a market cap of $1 trillion in Tom coins. And I own all of them but one. The volume of Tom coins is 1, but the market cap is $1 trillion. Impressive. And that's what it would take to become a trillionaire. We are looking at several possible candidates. We just talked about Brian Armstrong, probably has a lot of money. Roger Ver used to have a lot of money, put it all into Bitcoin Cash. Maybe somebody like the CEO of Ripple might become a trillionaire if Ripple ever recovers. Or someone like Brock Pierce, who invested early in Ethereum, EOS, Bitcoin, and a dozen other companies, alleged to have billions of dollars. I think there's something interesting about trying to reach this level. Once you reach 1 billion, which is already out of my mind, reaching 1 million would be nice first, of course. But once you reach 1 billion, I think you start to not care so much about being a trillionaire. Now, certainly, Mr. Bezos is a unique and a different kind of cat. Right. I read the Bezos book, read about him being into Star Trek early, him being a child prodigy and a genius and all this. Certainly, he has his sights set very, very, very high. you'll note that, when he had the extra money from Amazon, he didn't start a car company. He started a spaceship company. He wants to go to space. Jeff Bezos is one of those guys where you say, you know, where do you want to pass away? And he's like, on the Starship Enterprise on my flight to Mars, or on my way back for the 100th time. Jeff Bezos wants to live in space. So he is an interesting character, and might actually have a reason to become a trillionaire. I think with Bill Gates, Warren Buffett, other guys like this, they got to a certain point and they reached the top and had to stop. I'm not so sure about Bezos. But interesting question. Maybe one we'll try to talk about during the talk show portion of the show. Uh, what would it take to become a trillionaire? Is it good for our society to have trillionaires that aren't governments, that aren't charities, that aren't presumably corporations chartered to help people and for the good of humanity like corporations used to be? But it's a very interesting question and one that I think we'll bring up again later. Yesterday, I watched The Invention of Lying again. I gave it five stars on Letterboxd, and I just think it's a great movie. If you haven't checked out The Invention of Lying, Ricky Gervais lives in a world where no one can lie, and it's a little tweaked. I mean, it's more like everyone is very, very passive aggressive, and they say whatever they're thinking, usually horrible things, and they just go around saying all these horrible things and kind of being mean to each other, and all of a sudden Ricky Gervais figures out how to lie. And, he can go into the bank and ask for more money. He can say that he won at the casino when he lost, and everyone believes him because evolutionary wise, they don't know how to lie. So a great movie, not very popular, not very well liked. I think it's kind of a quiet gem. So check that out. Also, I watched Superbad, a different kind of movie, still pretty silly, pretty fun. Reminds me of my old friends from high school, all the fun we used to have. Certainly not as outrageous as these kids, but always great to watch Superbad. Nice, fun, relaxing comedy if you're looking for something to distract you. Quartz magazine. Cryptocurrencies have been crashing. Here are some explanations. And this is a classic trope of the media. They look at something that happened in the short term and they don't have any information, and they try to extrapolate from the lack of information they have to figure out what's going on. What they really want is one event. We can tie this to one event. The ETF went down, so the price went down. But once again, we all know when the ETF went down, maybe one big whale sold. Then that whale forced the lines to crash through the other lines. Suddenly, all of the traders who act like lemmings whenever their lines are broken had to sell as well. Now we're down. Are we down because the traders sold like lemmings? Are we down because of the ETF? Or are we down because of the one big whale? Nobody knows, especially not Quartz Magazine. CCN, shitcoin, Ethereum price will fall below $100. BitMEX CEO. Now, we've been saying this for years here at the World Crypto Network, but now, recently, in the last 3 or 4 days, it's become popular to bash Ethereum. Remember that Ethereum has an infinite number of units. They don't even know how many they have, and that you have to buy gas to buy Ether to run a contract, a structure that's not technically necessary, that was actually designed by lawyers. It launched out of Switzerland as an ICO with no code, not a great team, and a countdown timer telling you that you're running out of time. You're running out of time to buy. The price of Ethereum started out low, stayed low, went to 300, went all the way to 1300, and now is back at $300. According to the CEO of BitMEX, which is the place where they handle all of the exciting shorts and longs and margin trades, he believes the price of Ethereum will fall below $100 again. Bitcoin prices are testing $6,000 again. What's different this time around? More great headlines from Panos Moradopoulos. And again, it's different this time because we're going down through 6,000. We're not going up. Great job, Forbes. Breakdown over. Bitcoin indicators suggest price outlook is improving. Ooh. And it's a new guy called Sebastian Sinclair. Sounds like a real name. And let's go straight to his view for what it's worth. A bullish diversion can be seen on the daily RSI, a sign of a potential reversal in the current bear market. The daily MACD shows promising signs with a histogram ticking up in favor of the bulls and threatening a bullish cross from the percentage K and percentage D lines. Declining bear volume on the monthly chart since the middle of May. Keep an eye on the monthly close to see if bears fail to match or top the previous month, July volume, signaling exhaustion. The monthly RSI is at its lowest levels in 2 years. A drop below recent monthly lows would invalidate the bullish perspective. Disclosure: the author holds USDT at the time of writing. I'm sorry, what? The author holds USDT Tether? You hold Tether and you want to tell people about it? This is embarrassing. I don't know. Maybe get that other guy back. This guy's not so good. How low can Bitcoin go? Many crypto coins may soon become worthless. Newsweek weighing in. Remember, Newsweek's not really Newsweek anymore. It got sold to another company and sold to another company, and now it's the front for the Daily Beast. Remember, they did that big article about Satoshi Nakamoto playing with model trains and using his real name? It's not a real name. You fucking idiots. So anyway, blah, blah, blah. Crypto coins may soon become worthless. And they're quoting John McAfee that he would, they requote the John McAfee thing. They actually use the clinical word that John McAfee hit the headlines by claiming on Twitter that he would eat his own dick if his prediction came true about the coin, that Bitcoin would reach $1 million by 2020. So we're hoping for Mr. McAfee's sake that the price will go up by then. Otherwise, real problems for John McAfee. U.S. Square Cash app expands Bitcoin trading to all 50 states. Congratulations to Square Cash app, which continues to threaten and potentially destroy Coinbase, who no one likes. Meanwhile, while Coinbase offers goofy other coins, Square Cash only offers Bitcoin, offering an easy way to buy Bitcoin and nothing else in their app. This is the safest and best way to go for Square Cash, and others should follow. Drop your extra coins. Make your app easier. Don't be greedy and go after funds. People in the chat are mentioning a company that didn't mention Bitcoin in their pitch deck. Mention Bitcoin in your pitch deck. People remember. They remember. The smartest company. They use Bitcoin, but they never mention it. It seems like Bitcoiners won't use that product, right? That's what I think. I won't use that product. Who cares? But we're going to go ahead and open up the phone calls here on Bitcoin Talk Show. So remember, you can call us now at 518-600-1949. We'll open up the Skype lines in a little bit, but we'll try phone calls first. Remember to turn your speaker down. Have headphones if you think you need them. Headphones or a phone where you can hold the thing up to your ear. Have your microphone working beforehand. Try to have a quiet room if you can. Do your best. Yesterday we had some echoing callers. We couldn't get it fixed. And if you do have an echo, call a friend of yours. Try to work it out amongst yourselves. Don't call us back a dozen times. We're not running tech support for Skype or for telephones or whatever. If it works, it works. It's great. We'd love to hear from you. If it doesn't work, give somebody else a call. Make sure you're technically working, everything's good, and then give us a call back. I mean, we appreciate the calls, but it's just hard to deal with when they're like, you can't hear them, and we all look like jerks. So here we are. You can call us now on 518-600-1949. I do have something prepared. If you guys don't want to call, I was going to read you Steve Jobs' commencement speech from June 12th, 2005. So here it goes. And I'll stop if you call. You got lucky. Hello, caller. You're live on the World Crypto Network.
Hello.
What's your name and where are you calling from?
So you the one who hit my car?
No, I didn't hit your car, man. Whoa, that was like, is your refrigerator running? You should go catch it. You didn't even have a punchline. Oh, the quality of prank calls has fallen horribly since I was a kid. Maybe you guys don't listen to Jerky Boys anymore. You just don't have the spunk. You don't have any character. But again, prank calls would ruin the show if people want to do that. But I think it's nice to have a show where you can call in and ask questions about Bitcoin. I think it's nice to have a show where you can call in and share your opinion. So if people don't think so and they think it's better to have a prank call show, then I'm probably going to read you Steve Jobs' entire commencement speech. And here it goes. I am honored to be with you at your commencement from one of the finest universities in the world. I never graduated from college. Truth be told, this is the closest I've ever gotten to a college graduation. Today, I want to tell you 3 stories from my life. That's it. No big deal. Just 3 stories. The first story is about connecting the dots. I dropped out of Reed College after the first 6 months, but then stayed around as a drop in for another 18 months or so before I really quit. So, why did I drop out? It started before I was born. My biological mother was a young, unwed college graduate student, and she decided to put me up for adoption. She felt very strongly that I should be adopted by college graduates, so everything was all set up for me to be adopted at birth by a lawyer and his wife. Except when I popped out, they decided at the last minute they really wanted a girl. So my parents, who were on a waiting list, got a call in the middle of the night asking, "We have an unexpected baby boy. Do you want him?" They said, "Of course." My biological mother found out later that my mother had never graduated from college and that my father had never graduated from high school. She refused to sign the final adoption papers. She only relented a few months later when my parents promised that I would someday go to college. And 17 years later, I did go to college. But I naively chose a college that was almost as expensive as Stanford, and after all of my working class parents' savings were being spent on college tuition. After 6 months, I couldn't see the value in it. I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life, and no idea how college was going to help me figure it out. And here I was spending all of the money my parents had saved their entire life. So I decided to drop out and trust that it would all work out okay. It was pretty scary at the time, but looking back, it was one of the best decisions I ever made. The minute I dropped out, I could stop taking the required classes that it didn't interest me and begin dropping in on the ones that looked interesting. It wasn't all romantic. I didn't have a dorm room, so I slept on the floor in friends' rooms. I returned Coke bottles for the 5-cent deposits to buy food with, and I would walk the 7 miles across town every Sunday to get one good meal a week at the Hare Krishna temple. I loved it. And so much of what I stumbled onto by following my curiosity and intuition turned out to be priceless later on. Let me give you one example. Reed College at the time offered perhaps the best calligraphy instruction in the country. Throughout the campus, every poster, every label on every drawer was beautifully hand calligraphied. And because I had dropped out and didn't have to take the normal classes, I decided to take a calligraphy class to learn how to do this. I learned about the serif and sans serif typefaces, about the varying the amount of space between different letter combinations, and what makes great typography great. It was beautiful, historical, artistically subtle in a way that science can't capture, and I found it interesting, fascinating. None of this had even a hope of any practical application in my life. But 10 years later, when we were designing the first Macintosh computer, it all came back to me, and we designed it all into the Mac. It was the first computer with beautiful typography. If I had never dropped in on that single course in college, the Mac would have never had multiple typefaces or proportionally spaced fonts. And since Windows just copied the Mac, it's likely that no personal computer would have them. If I had never dropped out, I would have never dropped in on this calligraphy class, and personal computers might not have the wonderful typography that they do. Of course, it was impossible to connect the dots looking forward when I was in college, but it was very clear looking backwards 10 years later. Again, you can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backwards. So you have to trust that the dots will somehow connect in your future. You have to trust in something, your gut, destiny, life, karma, whatever. This approach has never let me down, and it has made all the difference in my life. Let's pause before Steve Jobs' second story and try to take another phone call. We're going to open up the phone lines again, and if this doesn't work, we're going to switch back to the Skype line. As always, you can call us now on 518-600-1949. And in a little bit, we'll open up the Skype line on SKYPE WorldCryptoNetwork, all one word. It's around 9:32 in the morning here. We're talking about the price of Bitcoin, which is up slightly. Wow, it's up even more, 6% right now, backs to 6,580. Is it higher than the previous high? That's what we really have to say. Looks like it might be a little bit higher than the previous high. But will it make a lower low, et cetera, et cetera? Up to 6% right now, 6,580. And we're checking in on the chat, see what you guys are up to today, down in the chat. Let's see. Jeremy says you should hodl Tom coins. They're going to go up in value. Hello, caller. You're live on the World Crypto Network. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Hey, Thomas, Zach Allen from the Bay Area. I got some interesting news for you.
All right. What's going on in the Bay Area today?
I'm getting married.
Congratulations. That's great. How long have you been together?
And this is the interesting news part. So I'm supposed to give my groomsmen like a present, when they join your wedding and whatnot. So what I'm doing is I'm giving them Bitcoin because they won't buy it. And I told them they have to wait until it hits a certain amount of money and then they can cash out and pay for their suits and bachelor party and all that kind of stuff. So that's what we're doing today. I just thought I'd call you since I was listening to you.
That's pretty great. Bitcoin as a wedding gift. And how long do they have to wait to cash out? Is it a matter of years or is it a matter of price?
I would say years or price. I told them to wait past 2020 or to about 100K. And at that point, the amount that I give them should allow us to go out on another trip.
Oh, that sounds great. That's a great gift. It's a great way to give out Bitcoin. Now, would Bitcoin be something old, something new, something borrowed, or something blue?
I think it would be something new, right?
Yeah, it's new. It's digital internet currency. It's exciting and new, right?
Exactly. And you know what, though? I'm super stoked because they would not buy it. I've been talking to them for like a year about it, and now they're finally they're like, okay, well, we'll take it. So if they take it, I really do think that they'll see some of the potential over the long run. So that's what's really cool to me.
Well,
I'm signing up for new people.
That sounds great, Zach. And it's so funny with our friends. Like Bitcoin's $1,000 and they think it's too expensive. And you tell them, hey, it's $5,000. It's too expensive. It gets up to like 15 grand, 18 grand near the freaking top. And they're like, oh, now's the time. Now's the time to buy in. And you're like, why have I been telling you about this for years? Like, you wait till the end. Like, yeah.
They need that, though. They need that to teach them how to invest. It's the school of hard knocks, unfortunately. And I'm speaking for my own self. You need to be able to really know what you're doing when you do it. And a lot of times your emotions play a factor. I was a salesperson, so I know how to get people emotional. And then what you do is you break down fear to them. And then once you get them to make fear responses, it's just, they make irrational decisions. I mean, most of the time when I was in sales calls, the people that I thought would buy wouldn't buy, and the people I thought would buy, wouldn't buy, and the people would buy that I thought wouldn't buy. So it's this whole emotional thing that people do. And I think that buying high like that and then being forced to sit on it, or assuming they didn't spend more than they needed so they don't have to sell out, that kind of teaches you. And I don't know, it's my kind of theory.
Well, that seems right. I think it also helps with the mainstream media. I know I got a lot of calls from old friends I used to work with and people like that, and they would say, "Oh, hey, you used to talk about that Bitcoin all the time, and I hear it's up now. Are you doing okay?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm doing okay. I got it a little early. I'm doing fine right now." And again, I should have sold. The minute those people started calling me, I should have been like, oh my God, we're over the thing. Like, because I mean, I talked about Bitcoin when no one talked about it. So if anybody mentions it back to you without you mentioning it first, that should be a big red flag. I remember when Paris Hilton did her ICO, and I was like, that's a big sign. I should get out. You know, the little voice in my back of my head that I never listened to. And of course, we tumbled right after the Paris ICO and the Floyd Mayweather and the rest of the celebrities who started to get in. That should have been a big sign for us, but it's so hard to see those signs going forward. It's easy to see them going backwards, you know.
One sign I think your man Andy Hoffman's on to is that Hoffman line, because I think there's something to be said about that. I've been paying attention to that for a while, and I think every time I see it dip, just it's touching that $100,000 line. It just keeps going up. So I don't know. You know, that might not be a selling thing, but that's a buying thing maybe.
Well, we're certainly in it right now. Everybody's watching that line, seeing if we're going to stay above it. We had a little bit of a bounce right now. 5-6% bounce. Again, it makes people happy, and I hope it means that we're back and everything. But I'm also completely fearful that this bounce is too jagged up and it'll come back jagged down, and that it might go jagged down lower than this. So just keep your risk. You know, let's stop calling it investing. Let's just call it risking, and let's just say, you know, 70-30 risk, or 50-50 risk, or 90-10. Whatever kind of a gambler you are, put your risk out there.
Yeah, and with your risk, I think you need to, because I have a degree in entrepreneurship, and I think you need to have an exit strategy. So people talk about that a lot in the sense of being able to know what and how you're going to exit, so that you're not emotional, like a lot of people do. You know, they get when the price goes up or the price goes down. So, you know, understanding, you know, hey, you acquired a Bitcoin. Maybe you wait till it's 100K if you believe in it, and have you know, just a little bit of Bitcoin to sell off, so that you're in the clear, and you're gonna sleep well at night, and my wife won't kill me, right? My new wife. That's kind of my thought. Lose you, Thomas?
I was muted, sorry. But yeah, no, I agree. You don't want this to be one of those weddings where she says, yeah, the price of Bitcoin when we got married was $6,000. Afterwards, it went downhill, and so did our marriage. Ooh. Want that.
That won't happen. It's not going to happen. Plus, well, you know, I'm just optimistic. It's a good day.
Yeah, it's gonna be fine. And again, just set up your risk profile so you'll be fine either way. If you got 30% in cash, you could always buy it if it goes lower. If you got, you know, 70% in cash, you could really buy it when it goes lower. Or you could always just buy back when it goes higher. If this thing breaks to 8K and you think it's going to 80K, you know, suck it up. You made a couple bad moves, you know, get back in. You just gotta, It's about the trends, right? Yeah.
Well, I think that it's, you know, I don't know. I mean, I'm not super into this for a long time, but you know, it looks like once it breaks and it starts breaking to the upside, I mean, it's almost a no-brainer if you can get in right at the beginning of the break, because it keeps going up, and then I mean, I don't know. I mean, you can't say that, because soon as, like you say, as soon as I invest, then it goes down.
It really does. It really does. You can watch when I buy and sell.
You should get married on Wednesdays, and what you do is you save money, and then you can put more into Bitcoin.
Well, that sounds great. Good advice for the marrying population out there in our chat.
Sure. Okay, one last thing, Thomas, and I got to get going here. The other day, I was listening, and maybe about a month ago, and I was super stoked to hear that you had done some Aikido.
Yep. Yeah, I studied Aikido for about 3 years in Sacramento. I was a first degree blue belt, and I found it really useful. And just it's about being positive and being strong in your area. And even just one of the most basic things they taught me: if you feel bad going down a dark alleyway, turn around and walk the other way. Like, you know, just listen to your feelings. Like, and a lot of the like, sorry, go ahead.
Definitely about the idea of not allowing, like my teacher once, she's a 70-year-old woman that's about 5'4" and maybe about 125 pounds. We're doing Joe work or staff work, and
Mm.
she ends up hitting me in the face, across the face.
Ooh.
And I'm on the ground holding my eye, and she looks up at me and she goes, huh, move your face. So the idea is to not allow yourself to get hit. Don't put yourself into that position to be hit. Same thing with investing. That's why I think, in a sense, in a very Buddhist sense, you do have to have the good with the bad in order to learn the patterns or whatever, so that you don't get hit.
Definitely. Well, the other important thing is that we're only fighting enough so that we can run away. If you can flip them and run away, you win. You don't have to stand there and flip them a second time. Most people are surprised when they've been flipped, and that's your chance. And
Yeah.
yeah, you don't want to be wrestling them to the ground and standing on them and breaking their legs or whatever a jujitsu master would do. We can work around that. So.
Everything is applicable in this sense. I tell people that technique is like 80% of the idea, and knowing when to use it. You can't be a robot. It's like math. It's not math. It's flow. And it's like dancing. You've seen someone dance and they're trying to do a step and they're counting. They're out of rhythm. So the idea is that you don't just do technique because you do it. You're supposed to feel what happens and adjust. And that just takes years and years of mastery. And that's, if I could talk with people like Joe Rogan, that's what I would say. You don't necessarily, it's not necessarily about just applying a technique. And often, even in jiu-jitsu, and he should know this, Joe Rogan, he should know the idea that it's about the opening. The opening creates the response so that you can run away or implement a technique or do whatever, So that's my idea.
Well, good stuff. And I'm a fan of Joe Rogan too, but I'm not sure he's a big fan of Aikido. He's more into the jujitsu, which is, wrestling them to the ground. And
Excuse my language.
yeah.
There's a lot of people out there that work on stuff, and I don't know. I mean, from doing Aikido a long time, I had a really good teacher. She was a Shihan master teacher, and lucky she was in my backyard, so I just kind of stumbled upon her. And her teacher was Chiba Sensei, who was apprentice to the founder. And so we have kind of a direct lineage to Hombu Dojo through them. And Chiba Sensei was actually known as like the bully of Aikido because he used it more martially. So I don't know. There's a lot of martialness to Aikido, but in a sense, though, it's not meant to necessarily just be a robot and do a technique. And that's not how you get to that flow state. And to each their own. Jiu-jitsu is fun too, because I like to do that too. But it's just I enjoy the kind of the philosophy behind Aikido. That's why I said I was excited to hear you did it. Do you mind me asking you who your teacher was?
It was Matt. I forget Matt Sensei in Sacramento. I forget his last name right now, but it was just the Sacramento Aikido Center.
Check it out.
Yeah, he was really good, and everybody I met there was really nice. And then when I moved to San Francisco, I just didn't have the time. I didn't get started, and I had a little bit of a new people fear. What if the new people don't like me and all that kind of thing? So I never got started, and now I'm out here in Vegas, and there is a place, and I think about getting started, but I still have that kind of new people fear. But I just need to get over that and get back into it.
I might know the guy from Vegas, or at least one of them, and I think they're a nice bunch of people. I wouldn't worry about it. They're like Bitcoiners.
That's what I found. Most of the Aikido people I was practicing with in Sacramento, they're kind of, not in a negative way, but they're kind of hippies, so they're kind of real laid back and they don't have a problem with anything.
Yeah,
so.
That's the problem, is that hippies don't fight. So then Joe Rogan and people like that think that they're going to beat up hippie, so it just doesn't work.
Yeah, but it's been great talking Aikido with you, Jack and Zach, and talking about the wedding, and congratulations, and way to go. And maybe we'll have some little Bitcoiners soon in a few years, huh? So
definitely, man. So thanks again, Thomas. It was good to chat with you. Like I said, I was excited to tell you about my Bitcoin for my groomsmen. So you take that's my fiance yelling Bitcoin. So it's going to be a good marriage.
Well, thanks so much, Zach, and you have a great one. And give us a call anytime.
All right, bro. Good day.
All right. And you can call us now on Skype at 518, or actually not Skype, but on the telephone at 518-600-1949. Maybe at 10 o'clock, we'll close down the phone calls and open up the Skype calls for a little while, depending if we're getting calls or not getting calls. But that was pretty interesting stuff. Zach's getting married. He's giving his groomsmen Bitcoin, and that's the only way he could get them to take the Bitcoin. They just weren't interested the other times. Hello, caller. You're live on the World Crypto Network. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Hey, this is Dan in Oregon.
Hey, Dan, how's it going? What's on your mind about Bitcoin?
Going well. Going well.
Nice. What do you think about the Bitmain thing? Is it going to be a good IPO? Do you want to invest?
I will not be touching the Bitmain ICO, unfortunately for them.
Yeah.
But no, what I called in to talk about was just Bitcoin tech, just a little bit of tech. The one point I wanted to make is that one thing that differentiates Bitcoin from all the other altcoins is the developers that are behind it. And a lot of people might not know, a lot of listeners might not know that the developers that are developing for Bitcoin are so amazing, and how amazing they actually are, and how much more of them there are, and how much more active and how much more skilled they are than many of the other developers. Not that there aren't other good developers out there working on other coins and other projects, but it's just unbelievable that people. And so back when I invested in Bitcoin originally, and I knew that there was just people smarter than me out there that were going to take this ball and run with it, and that's exactly what's happened and is still happening. And what's happening is all the smartest people in the world are taking the ball and running with it, and that's Bitcoin. So that's the one thing I wanted to say. And then the other thing I wanted to talk about was all of the amazing upgrades that are being proposed and being thought about and worked on and developed right now. So you know about, we've got SegWit, of course, but then there's now there's the proposal for Schnorr signatures, which is really great. Does a lot of amazing things. Then there's the MAST proposal, which I don't know a lot about. Maybe you know more about that. There's also one called Bulletproofs, which is freaking awesome. If anybody hasn't looked into Bulletproofs yet, look into Bulletproofs.
Okay, so
because well, hang on real quick though about Bulletproofs. It will actually allow us to grow the blockchain at like about 10% the rate that it grows at right now, and put in the same amount of data. So it's a really amazing upgrade that's being proposed with Bulletproofs too. So, and all these things are being worked on right now. So sorry, I'm done now. I'll let you go.
Well, I totally agree with you, Dan. I think we've got the best people in crypto at the top and the best people at the bottom and even the best people in the middle. And I think you passed the Dunning-Kruger effect there. You said people smarter than you, which people that fail that test believe there is no one smarter than them. And that's what I hear a lot with these altcoins. They're like, yeah, we've got the world's smartest developer and he's the best, and he can best anyone that you have. And then you look at the Bitcoin team and you got people like Blue Matt and Peter Todd, who are working on Bitcoin basically when they were in high school. They were on the cryptocurrency mailing list way back in the day. And remember, this goes back to that hacker manifesto that I read the other day. On the internet, and I'm talking about the real internet here, not the public popular one or whatever, but on the real internet, no one cares if you're old or young. They care if you can code. They care if you can write. They care if you can express yourself with words, et cetera, et cetera. And obviously, Blue Matt, Peter Todd, other people like this had no trouble, even as young kids, expressing themselves, and people could understand what they're talking about. The language of math and computer programming is universal. Anyone can read it. And we really do have the best people on Bitcoin. And just in comparison, I'd be terrified to play any of them in chess, right? They're just going to rock me. And
Yeah.
that's the team you want, right?
Chess is a great example. I agree. Yeah, it's a good like comparison. You know, somebody who's really good at chess versus me, who's terrible. You know, I mean, they're just getting, and I understand that, and I know that they're that much far. And that's like, you don't have to, like, I was thinking at first, like, oh, I need to get involved. I need to develop software and help, this. And I did mine for a little while, and I did some things to help, and I still run a full node and all those good things to help Bitcoin. But I'm not smart enough like these guys. Like, these guys are on another level, And the reason I know that, and thankfully, is because I was able to go to college for computer science, and I didn't actually get the degree, but I got a lot of great experience and knowledge and met so many people, and those people are on another level. I can't actually even be like them. Like, if I want to be, I tried to be like them and I couldn't, and I don't, and it's good. It's okay. It's okay that I'm not like them. They're like really like a special, in my opinion, those people really have like special brains, and like those people that are really great with technology, whether it's computer science, robotics, that type of stuff. The creators, the ones who can understand at the very, very highest levels. Like, if you've ever seen like the people that work for Intel or AMD, for example, where they look at those charts of a processor and all the logic gates that connect together, and it's got to be hundreds of thousands or millions of lines on a piece of paper, and they can understand it all. They understand the whole thing. It's amazing,
It is. It's totally amazing. And those are the people we want working on this project. And, it doesn't matter that you and I maybe aren't at the level to write Bitcoin code. There's lots of other Bitcoin jobs for us. I got this cool gig right here, spreading the word about Bitcoin, doing talk shows and other videos. Sometimes I go out and interview people, or I hand out flyers in Las Vegas. There's a spot for everybody to contribute to Bitcoin. And it might not be at the top, and it might not be, on TV and showing off and, being a genius like Vitalik or whatever. But there's lots of room for everybody, and everybody can get on board. But you do have to kind of pass that Dunning-Kruger test. You kind of have to know that there are people smarter than you, and that they're probably programming Bitcoin, and that there's a reason the altcoiners are programming altcoins. So.
Yeah, and the sad part, the saddest part about an open source project is that the altcoins get to rip off all the genius and then call it their own, which is what they've always been doing since the start. And actually, if you ever could have J.W. Weatherman on your show again, that guy really made me think, because he kind of said some things that were really like shook me a little bit. That's why I'd like to hear more from that guy. He's a very maximalist, which is cool, because I'm not even as maximalist as he is anymore. But I like hearing from those people, because when he talked about Charlie Lee, and actually I believe even called Charlie Lee a scammer or a con artist, I was like shocked when he said that, because I love Charlie Lee. But it made me think, and I don't think Charlie is a con artist personally, but it made me think when he said that. And I really liked that he made me think like that, and the way his whole security mind perspective that he had, it was a very high level. And I'd like to hear more from him if you could ever get him on.
Sure. Yeah, I like JW. I invite him on the show all the time. We'll see if he's up this early. I don't know about that. But I kind of agree with him on Charlie Lee. I think Charlie Lee's a super nice guy. I'm not going to, put him down personally, but I don't see any reason for Litecoin to exist. I never really have. When they started Litecoin, they multiplied the number of Bitcoin units by 4.
It's just a backup copy that we can all go to if we had to.
Sure. But like, we could always use the Bitcoin testnet for that. There was one who,
I guess, but with a different, hashing, I guess, algorithm, or a slightly different.
I don't know. I think the one,
just that one difference helps, I guess, just to give it. And I'm not giving it a lot of credibility, but I'm just saying it does serve. I do believe the whole silver to gold thing, that was the most genius thing ever that Charlie came up with when he compared Litecoin to silver to Bitcoin's gold.
Well, it used to be called Bitcoin's quarter.
Genius marketing, but look at what McDonald's and Nike and all these other companies have done with marketing. Marketing and branding is maybe more important than almost anything else in the marketplace at some point, at a certain level.
Well, when Litecoin came out, it was called Bitcoin's quarter, because there was 4 times the number of units on Litecoin than Bitcoin. And there wasn't really much difference to it other than that. it was incredibly useful during the scaling debate because for political reasons, we couldn't get the SegWit update adopted. So they tried SegWit on Lightning first, and we were able to say technically SegWit's running fine on Lightning. It'll run fine on Bitcoin. But that was a unique political situation that I don't see happening again. So I don't know what the reason or value of Litecoin is in the future. Certainly, it's one of the better coins. But still, you know, if
Yeah.
Bitcoin is 99%
Right.
and Litecoin is less than 1%, which project are you going to put your money in? So,
Right. Right. Yeah. And then Charlie, I know, and it's funny because when Litecoin was first created, I actually hated Litecoin and hated Charlie Lee and all the stupid arguments he would make about it being faster. And, you know, it's like, it's not fast. It's the same because it's a 2.5 minute block versus a 10-minute block, but you get roughly 1/4 the security in a block. So but it was just a shell game. It's just a shell game, you know, with numbers. It's like, so it pissed me off when all that was going on when he first launched it. But then he's been so great afterwards. But then when J.W. Weatherman called him a con artist, I was like, whoa, it made me think back to that time. And then I kind of remembered how everything went down and how Charlie has been the champion of Bitcoin ever since then, helping to get SegWit pushed through. So, and all that kind of stuff. So it was just funny. I love Charlie though, you know, so I'll probably never stop loving Charlie though. He's the man.
well, I'd even give him a pass.
Genius. If nothing else, the guy is a complete genius, in my opinion.
It was so funny though when the price was going up and Charlie owned all that Litecoin and people kept looking at him and asking him, they're like, yeah, you own a lot of Litecoin. Tell us the price. Oh, you own a lot of Litecoin, blah, blah, blah. It's good for you. Then he gives up and he sells all his Litecoin, which I think he did not really for the money. I think he did it because he was tired of people asking him about it and tired of people saying that, you know, oh, he's a bag holder and all these things. And it turns out the
Sure.
guy sells on the top, makes an incredible move, must be killing it in the dollar bill category or whatever. And all of his Litecoin people are super mad at him after that. So I understand why, but I don't blame him. I think he was just tired of being an influencer because he was a bag holder.
Yeah. I mean, that was an amazing how he sold at the very top. Kind of amazing, kind of interesting, I guess.
Well, once again, it's the people with all the money that don't need any money. Charlie Lee was employed by CoinDesk for years. He probably bought tons of
He
Bitcoin.
knows all the insiders. So
Yeah, he knows all the
you know what
insiders.
happened at Coinbase with that Bcash drop. So that was I watched that live. I was actually watching live when that went down. I was watching a YouTube stream of some sort, and it was live, and then the whole thing, and it was so funny because minutes before the Bcash went live, all of a sudden, I was actually saying, no, guys, they released this thing that says they're not gonna have it active for trading or whatever that roadmap they had released a few days before.
Mhm.
And it was the funniest thing because then somebody was like in the chats like, oh my gosh, Bcash is on Coinbase, and then it flew up to like 4,000 or whatever the craziness was, and then Bitcoin dropped, and that was like the moment that Bitcoin had peaked in price and dropped from there ever since then. So the whole thing was, I was furious with Coinbase. In fact, I was going to delete my account, and I haven't deleted it yet. I still should because I'm actually still mad enough to boycott Coinbase over that whole thing and how it went down.
Well, it's really funny to see how two things that we used to admire a lot, even three if you want to include BitPay, but Coinbase and Roger Ver have both completely destroyed their reputations for no reason. And it's the kind of thing where we might look back on this and wonder why they did this. Why I know Coinbase is desperate for the fees. They see Cripsy, they see Poloniex, all these other people making all this money off fees and altcoins, and they want that game, right? They want those fees. But in the way and in the things they keep doing about screwing over Bitcoin and Brian getting all of his money from buying Ethereum and just the whole loss of focus, I think they're going to come out of this as a hated Bitcoin company and then as a bankrupt Bitcoin company. I think that Square, Cash, these other exchanges, that backed exchange, are going to eat their breakfast. And I don't think that there's any Bitcoiners or any people in the community that's going to stand up and say, no, stick with Coinbase. Stick with the ones that have been, you know, selling us all these altcoins and shutting down our accounts and not helping out our friends when their money is stolen. That's Coinbase to me.
Yeah, when altcoin madness took over was kind of when everything went to shit for a while. But now we're kind of getting back to basics, I feel like, at this point. So that's good. And I think in mining, I think there's going to be a lot more big players, chip producers are going to come online with ASICs that are going to, and Bitmain's not going to have the monopoly they've been having anymore. And I even think players like Intel, AMD, like the big boys, Samsung, are gonna start throwing some weight around. I think they've been R&Ding this whole time, is my suspicion. They've been R&Ding their chips and they're getting ready to fab. And
That would make sense. We saw that Backed exchange. They say they've been writing it for 14 months. So unlike Coinbase Pro or GDAX or whatever they made yesterday, those guys wrote it for 14 months, and it should be ready soon.
Yeah. So yeah, that'll be exciting. I don't know. Everything's looking positive to me, though. I'm going to let you go, but I just want to reiterate, people should really look into the upgrades for Bitcoin that are in the proposal pipeline. It's just so amazing, guys. Like, altcoins are just trash compared to Bitcoin. I mean, Schnorr signatures, mass. There was a proposal called Mimblewimble, but now it's, I don't know. I don't think it's, I mean, then you got Lightning Network and all the things that can be built layer 2. I mean, we're going to have smart contracts. We're going to probably even have Turing complete side chains, drive chains. I mean, I don't even know what half these things mean. I just know that people smarter than me are working on these things and that they're probably going to be amazing. So I'll just end with that.
All right. That sounds great, Dan. Thanks so much for the call. Give us a call anytime.
All right. Take care.
All right. And I definitely agree with Dan there. There's lots of new upgrades coming out for Bitcoin, and there's not lots of new upgrades coming out for the other altcoins. If you look at the GitHub for Bitcoin Cash, hardly anyone has been updating it. Hardly anyone has been changing it. No one is working on fixing Bitcoin Cash. They're working on fixing Bitcoin. And thanks to the SegWit upgrade, Bitcoin can finally start adding some new features. A lot of these new features that we want, that Dan talked about, we were unable to add to Bitcoin because we didn't have segregated witness. And as we learned out later, it wasn't a scientific debate about big blocks and small blocks. It was a simple monetary debate about Bitmain charging with a 30% advantage due to their ASIC boosted chips, and that they needed to maintain that advantage as long as they could. Every day that they argued longer is another day that they kept their advantage. Eventually, the Bitcoiners got tired of this, set a date in the sand with the UASF, the user activated soft fork, and they activated SegWit themselves, leaving Bitmain to start their own coin called Bitcoin Cash. They stole the name, they stole the logo, they stole some of the big evangelists, even like Roger Ver and some other people went over, and now they support Bitcoin Cash, and they're getting absolutely wrecked. Bitmain's IPO seems like a desperate attempt to get out of these horrible investments that they've made. They traded their Bitcoin for Bitcoin Cash. At one point, Bitmain had 71,000 Bitcoin. Now they have around 20,000. At 71,000 Bitcoin, Bitmain didn't need to IPO. Bitmain didn't need the help of any other company or country or government or bank or anybody. They were bulletproof. They could live on their own forever on 70,000 Bitcoin. But they sold them for magic beans. We've all heard about that before with Jack and the Giant and the beanstalk and the magical beans. And they thought that the magical beans were going to go up in value, but they didn't. That's right. The magical beans didn't go up in value. Bitmain's in serious trouble, but we'll see. Their IPO just might bail them out. We have to see how many suckers there are. Now, I know Samson said earlier that Tencent and a couple of these other companies were not suckers, SoftBank and Tencent, and that they got out of it. So we're now opening up the phone calls on Skype. We're going to accept Skype phone calls for the next 15, 20 minutes, as long as there are phone calls. If there aren't Skype phone calls after 15 minutes, we will switch back to other phone calls. Hello, caller. You're live on the World Crypto Network. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Hello, my name is Raitis and I from Letland.
All right. What's on your mind about Bitcoin today?
Nothing special. Bitcoin like Bitcoin. Funny, but what I did yesterday, I built my own Lightning node. So I'm happy about that.
Nice. And how'd that go? Was it very challenging, or was it mainly just following some step-by-step instructions?
Right now, it's actually really, really easy. It's just actually, we can say 2 steps. Just download full node, Bitcoin, and then just there is example Eclair soft. You can use Linux, and there is also like Windows. Just click next, 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 and install up. That's it.
Yeah, that's always the way with Windows. You just keep clicking next, 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 and ignore all those posts. But that can get you in trouble too.
we need easy, very easy to install, because to get more people in, we need easy stuff.
I agree. I think we do. And I know Bitseed has that little Bitcoin node that you can just purchase and plug in next to your router. I'm not sure if it does Lightning yet, but it would be great if you could just buy a Lightning node, put a little money in it. Everybody could plug them in next to their Wi-Fi routers and just forget about it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that'd be best. But we haven't heard back from Bitseed since we contacted them on Twitter, and they don't have Lightning yet. So we might have to hold our breath on that one.
Sure. Okay, that was it. Sorry about my not so good English, but I always watch World Crypto Network. Thomas, you do a good job. Keep doing that.
Well, thank you so much, and give us a call anytime. And remember, your English is much better than my Russian or my German or anything. So you're doing a great job, man.
Yeah, okay, bye.
Thank you so much. And you can call us now on Skype at World Crypto Network, all one word. We're going to keep the Skype lines open for at least the next 15, 20 minutes, see if we can get some phone calls. But what do you think, audience and chat? Are the Lightning nodes easy enough to run yet? He said on Windows, you could just push next a bunch of times and you'd get a Lightning node. That sounds pretty cool. We're going to check in with the chat. A lot of people are becoming Tom Coin bag holders. I think maybe we should start Brian Armstrong coin. Don't steal that idea. He'll get it first. Of course, it's only a matter of time before a new Coinbase update allows everyone to have a coin and everyone to list a coin on Coinbase. They're talking about Jeff Bezos. They say he might be a cyborg. He's not a cat. He's a lizard. And others say Jeff just wants to go home. Matt Smith says that Jeff Bezos realizes that most of the people down here on Earth suck. And that's probably why he's going to space. Guess that Nerd thinks I'm happy when the price is up. I'm pretty happy, but I also think it's going to go back right back down. And I've made sells, so I'm looking to buy lower. But once again, it's really complicated for me because I'm trying to live on it and I'm trying to promote it. And when it goes down in price, it also goes down in interest. So I get hit. When I'm down, I'm really down. And on the other side, when I'm up, I'm really up. So it's tough to ride these crazy swings. And once again, I don't know what the market's going to do more than anyone else, and no one knows. And people that tell you they know are lying. So that's a big mistake. Don't let that fall. Trillions just making their childhood dreams a reality. And they love McLovin from the Superbad movie. Why did you choose McLovin? It's a single name. Who do you think you are, like Cher? There's a lot of people named Cher. Zach says, no one needs $1 trillion unless your goal is to enslave everyone else. And I don't know what Jeff Bezos' goals are beyond making Amazon the greatest company ever made and crushing all other companies. I think it's that second part that people are worried about. Jeremy says we're down to test the bottom. Chester Copperpot is ready to hunt some bear whale blubber. Forbes article didn't age well. And Jeremy says there's lots of news today. Says people trade USDT and Jack the Maximalist. Yeah, I'm right now. I'm sticking on the idea that Square Cash is going to stick with Bitcoin. But there's a possibility that they'll just be like Robinhood and all these other people, start out with Bitcoin. Then, have you seen these 5 altcoins? And he opens up side of his coat to show you his wares. And oh, what about these altcoins? As he opens up the other side of his trench coat to show you more stolen watches. There's a lot of back alley deals going on in crypto. Yeah, I get tired of the FUD articles. It's pretty exhausting. We went from no mainstream media articles to all FUD mainstream media articles. So it's been pretty interesting. Matt Smith says, do the dealers at the D have Bitcoin wallets for tips? Is the D actually able to take Bitcoin at the table and at the cage and so forth? I can report at this time they cannot. It's likely not their choice. It probably has to do with the Gaming Commission here in Nevada. They make a lot of the laws that come to the casino, a lot of the things about where you can use your credit card, where you can use cash, where you can use chips or tokens or anything like that. And they're a backwards old country boy organization, and they just haven't heard about Bitcoin, or what they've heard about it they don't like. And if you look at their system with the gambling and everything, it's working really good. There's no reason for them to just take, or for the Gambling Commission to get involved with Bitcoin. They really probably don't care. At the D, the level of Bitcoin, what you can do. Well, if you have cash, you can go there. They have a Bitcoin ATM. You can buy Bitcoin at the ATM. Once you have some Bitcoin, you can go to the gift shop, where I haven't tried it in a while. You know how it is. The tablets get lost and the people forget how to use it. But they say they take Bitcoin at the gift shop. They also take it at the little cafe upstairs, and maybe even at the steakhouse and the hot dog shop. Not sure about the bar upstairs or downstairs. Maybe, possible. But generally, they take it at all the little shops. They will take it at the hotel if you want to buy a room in Bitcoin, or maybe in advance. Not so sure. It's a little informal, but they are big fans of Bitcoin. And we don't have many large casino friends in Vegas, but I think the D and the Golden Gate are friends of Bitcoin. So I think if the Gaming Commission moved it all and they were like, oh, you can use Bitcoin, I'll bet the D would be one of the first ones there. So it's very cool. People prank call because it's fun. That's why. We just don't want to get too into it. We want, we're having a great conversation here with the audience, and prank calling's fun and everything, and I'm not down on it, but it does make it harder to have a conversation with the audience, and that's what we're trying to do here. We are keeping the Skype lines open, so if you're international and you'd like to call us on Skype, we're going to keep those open here till 10:20, so about another 5 minutes, and then we're going to switch back to telephone calls for the rest of the show until we have some issues or until the show ends. I was reading a little bit of Steve Jobs' commencement seminar earlier, and people are saying school's a scam and he regrets getting a college degree. And well, I don't know. I see a lot of this libertarian anti-school talk, and I know. I mean, I don't know. I just had a great time at school. I mean, obviously, I had trouble with bullies and I had trouble with other people and all that kind of thing. And I had teachers that didn't like me, and I had subjects that I didn't like, that I didn't want to study. But when I found a subject or two that I really liked, there was no better place than school. Reading the books, writing the papers, I found it to be not bad at all. And mainly what I found as a historian and as like the previous caller, a computer science washout, that there are so many great ways to learn about so many great disciplines. And really, my big breakthrough class was I was studying the English, I was studying the French Revolution, and I was reading the books from the time in my English literature class, and I was studying the period in my history class. So I really felt like I was there. I was reading what they would have been reading. I was hearing about the events that they would have heard about, and I really was able to unlock the history. I think if you have a successful time at college and a successful time at school, it can teach you to be curious and inquisitive, and ability to learn new things and ability to branch out into other subjects. I think there's a lot of value there. I know the libertarians think that it'll control you and brainwash you and make you dull and won't teach you the right things and blah, 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 blah. But it's I mean, I listened to a little bit of that J.W. Weatherman chat with, I think it was Tom Woods. the other day, and they were talking about MathBot, which I think is super cool. If you can get kids to answer math questions and then pay them a little bit of Bitcoin for it, make it a reward system, I think that's a good idea. I haven't tried it yet. I don't know how good it is or whatever, but they were talking about kids, and they were both very libertarian, very much, oh, you can't send them to those schools and all this thing. And uh, I hate to say this, but it does kind of sound like a cult. It's like the religious cults, they would say, oh, well, you can't let your kids be educated by secular schools because they're going to ruin our religion. And that's what the libertarians sound like. If you send the kids to normal schools, they won't grow up as liberty people. And yeah, that's a little culty for me. But I'm still a supporter of school, even if I'm surrounded by libertarians that hate school. And again, you're totally fine to express your opinion that you hate school here. I'm, not going to get upset with you. I'm just going to disagree, and that's fine. August 3 says, unless you're going to school to be a doctor, school is useless. Oh, there are other professions besides doctor, lawyer, computer programmer, politician. I don't know. There are other options. Let me go back, see if we can catch that thread. We talk about lightning nodes. Everybody's into lightning nodes. I think they'd love to do some setups. They're looking for instructions. I agree with Jeremy. YouTube has the best instructions. I learned how to drywall with it. And this is a special secret trick that some people know about and other people don't, but you can Google anything and learn how to do it. It's pretty impressive. I didn't know how to change the filter on my pool, and it looked really scary and confusing. And I didn't want the pressure to blow up and, things like that. I'm worried about pipes exploding if they're under pressure. And I went to YouTube and I watched a video about a guy changing his pool filter, and he was a professional and he did it every day. And he had all the little tricks and all the little things and wiggle this and wiggle that. And now I know that. Now I know how to change my pool filter, and it's really neat. And I think you can learn anything like that on YouTube, whether it's setting up a Bitcoin wallet, changing the oil on your car, or how to load the dishwasher, whatever it is. There's a great video out there on YouTube waiting to teach you about it. And we probably need to make one on making a lightning node, like you guys are saying. They say there's a Medium article with step-by-step instructions. Those are pretty good. And that's about that. Let's see. Guest at Nura says, yeah, he starts to understand why I'm kind of crypto bipolar. But yeah, when the price of Bitcoin goes down, the views go down on this channel. The Twitter responses go down. Everything stops. And when the price goes up, then I have money, but then of course I also think that the price is going up more, so I try to hold longer. And that hodl thing gets in your head, and oh, these are the highest number of Bitcoin I'll ever have, and that's the terrible idea. That one keeps making you sadder and sadder because you keep having less and less. Because you just unless you have a great job and you're doing well, eventually you're going to have to spend some of your Bitcoin. So next time when the price is up, let's try to spend more. And next time when the price is down, let's try to buy more. We keep doing this backwards. But we're talking about Bezos wants a Burning Man festival in the harsh environment of Mars, the ideal atmosphere for a trillionaire. And it is a little terrifying to think in a science fiction way about what might happen to Mars once Bezos takes over. One man and one corporation would control all of your air, all of your options, all of your travels. The very idea of the US government becomes very, very sketchy when you get out to Mars. There's not a lot that they can do to protect you or your rights, or even to investigate if you fell out an airlock or if you were pushed. So I would be very careful going to Jeff Bezos's Mars colony. It's very careful. Can you withdraw Bitcoin with Square, or is it only buy or sell? I've heard that some people have access to a withdraw button on Square. It might not be a feature that they let everyone have right now, and that they don't have a deposit button right now. So Square is not fully functional. However, they did just pass a major hurdle with acceptance in all 50 states. That's not so much a technical hurdle, but more of a legal and organizational hurdle. It also makes it very easy to support Cash App, and to say, hey, do you want to download Cash App? You can buy $5 worth of Bitcoin. It doesn't matter what state you're in. That's pretty cool. Also, the caller earlier, he said something like, we've got SegWit. And that reminded me of a little video I did a while ago This is Introducing the Secretary of Bitcoin Scaling, SegWit, and this was published on August 8th, 2017. So that's just last year, about a year and a week ago. So let's just check out before I reopen the phone call. So be sure you're ready to call in about 2 minutes. I'm going to play this quick clip. This is, of course, a parody. Well, not a parody, kind of a parody. It's a reworking or whatever of Idiocracy. So if you haven't seen Idiocracy yet, you still should see it. And now, introducing the Secretary of Scaling. Let's see, can I make it bigger? Kind of. It's a mixed result on the bigger. Let me try to make it taller. Introducing the Secretary of Scaling, SegWit.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of America! Shut up!
Shit. I know shit's bad right now with all this scaling bullshit and the B cash and the dust storms and we're running out of French fries and burrito cutlets. But I got a solution.
Hey, that's what you said last time, core lover.
I got a solution. Let's just fork Bitcoin. Seems like we're having technical difficulties. People are saying that it's not sharing the screen. It's a very short clip, so we'll try it one more time. I've reactivated the screen share. I'm trying to change the window. Can you guys see the proper YouTube screen now? I need you guys to let me know, and then I'll restart the video, or we might give up for today on playing a video. But I think it works. Okay, one more try, or we're just gonna negative still. Really? Let's see. I swear it should be working. YouTube is really falling apart here. Google, what's going on? I can see the YouTube screen, and I can see it changing screens. They say all they can see is the chat. Well, I don't know what's happened to Google. It's not as good as it used to be. Maybe we'll just listen. They can see the chat screen. The chat screen, I don't even have that up right now. I have the World Crypto Network screen. No, I've had way more tabs than this open. They see the phone. Okay. So you guys are only seeing this, but when I click on this, it doesn't go to Mad Bitcoins. Google, man, you're just letting us down so much. I don't understand why. Can I hide my thing? Let's see. Oh, I got an idea. Oh, watch this. This is going to be great. Okay, so if I hide all of the things, I'm going to play it. Okay, get ready. Here we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of America! Shut up!
Shit. I know shit's bad right now with all this scaling bullshit and the B cash and the dust storms and we're running out of French fries and burrito cutlets. But I got a solution.
Hey, that's what you said last time, core lover.
I got a solution. Let's just fork Bitcoin Cash. What? That's what I thought. Now I understand everyone's shit's emotional right now. But listen up. I got a 3-point plan to fix everything. Number 1, we got this guy, SegWit. Number 2, he's going to give us layer 2 solutions that's even better than big blocks. And number 3, he's going to fix everything. I give you my word as president of Bitcoin. He'll fix the scaling, and that ain't all. I'll give you my word he's going to fix the transaction malleability too. And I'll give you my word he's going to fix the dust storms. He's going to fix the economy. He's going to fix the exchanges. He's going to fix the problem with the fees. Ladies and gentlemen, the new Secretary of Scaling,
SKYPE!
And there it is, just a little bit of mad Bitcoins from almost a year ago. I'm not sure if it's working. Really, Google, I don't know what the heck you've got going on out there, because it shows to me controlling this thing like it's working great. Then I went and I hid my other screens, so they should have been completely gone. And then I launched the video, which would have forced you to only play the screen that was still showing. I also clicked present this screen to everyone during the thing, which I thought might have worked halfway through. So I don't know. Google Hangouts is a questionable product sometimes. Sometimes it don't work so good. But that's fine. And I'm going to go ahead and open up phone calls again for the last half hour. So if you'd like to call us now at 518-600-1949, we'll talk about Bitcoin and anything else that's going on today in the world of cryptocurrency. But you can give us a call right now. Hello, caller. You're live on the World Crypto Network. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Hey, this is Dean calling from New York.
Hey, Dean, how's it going in New York? What's on your mind about Bitcoin today?
Not too bad. I'm glad to see the price rising a little bit. You know, even if we go to 5,000, you talked about this yesterday. I just wanted to bring up something about Square, but people need to relax. It's all going to be okay. But yeah, with Square, they actually recently, now every customer can send Bitcoin. I think it's for everybody now. But yeah, the only issue is, I can confirm what you were just saying. You can't receive it. You can buy, sell, send. Everybody can do that now. But you don't have an address to receive. That's about it.
Well, that sounds great, but they need to get us that receive address, right? Finish the product.
I agree.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a technical or a legal or a banking type reason why they haven't finished their product, but it's very interesting to see. People were asking how you withdraw. Just like everything in the Square app, it's incredibly complicated and difficult for new people. I don't know why they do that, but you have to swipe up to get to the Bitcoin section. Then I think you have to swipe right to get to the Bitcoin section. You might have to swipe right again to get it to let you withdraw.
It's a different page. You got to go to the main page where you would have your cash, and you basically go to this main menu in the settings. It's not in the same place as buy and sell. It took me a minute to figure it out, but once you do, it's a pretty simple process. But yeah, it's in a totally different location. You have to back up to a couple different screens. So yeah, it's a bit annoying.
Yeah, their entire app has that confusing Snapchat interface where it's great for kids and great for people that know it, but almost impossible to learn if you're brand new, which is a terrible idea if you have an app that you want a lot of people to use.
I definitely agree. But if anyone's using Coinbase and you're basically hodling, I would suggest it. I started using that for the public stuff I buy, and then I just send it to my private address, my offline wallet.
All right, that sounds great, Dean. Check out the Cash app. Anything else going on in Bitcoin today you want to talk about?
And not a lot. I see so much, people freaking out. Trust me, guys, it's going to work out. And if we do dip, the altcoins are going to dip 3-4 times as much. Bitcoin dominance is going to go to 80-90%. And honestly, I think a short-term dip in Bitcoin is worth it if we can knock a lot of that garbage out.
All right, that sounds great. Thanks so much, Dean, for the call, and give us a call anytime.
Thank you, Thomas.
All right, and it sounds like a lot of other people were trying to call. You can go ahead and call now. There we go. Hello, caller. You're live on the World Crypto Network. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Jim from San Diego.
All right, Jim. What's on your mind about Bitcoin today?
I was thinking about the ETF that's being proposed and how it's going to affect Bitcoin when told in terms of their voting rights, because it's a consensus project. And so when you get a large entity that buys in like that, and I was in fact watching Andreas Antonopoulos did a talk about it. And so I'm a little concerned about that. I think that we need to convince people to buy Bitcoin, normal people, everyday people, because we want to make sure that that balance stays intact.
Well, I think we are, but don't you think a Bitcoin will bring ETF will bring a lot of new buyers, and especially one large buyer and holder in the company doing the ETF themselves? Wouldn't it be good for Bitcoin to have more buyers?
Absolutely. I mean, we want more people in Bitcoin, but we want to make sure that the decision process doesn't become centralized.
So the people that have the Bitcoin can vote in the decision process? I'm not sure which process Andreas is referring
it's a
to.
consensus. I mean, it's the consensus of the people involved in Bitcoin, the miners and everybody. And so I just want to maintain the integrity of the consensus project.
Yeah, that sounds good. I'm not sure exactly how the people vote. I know in a proof of stake system, the people who have the coins run the wallets and they kind of vote. In our system, it's more like the miners, but we found out recently that the miners don't get to vote, that signaling is not the same as voting, and that it turns out that it's the users who control this project because the users refuse to use a Bitcoin without SegWit.
Right. Okay.
But thanks so much for the call, and we'll definitely check it out. And I do want Bitcoin to be controlled by the users or the programmers. I'm just not sure where they got this voting idea.
Right. I would check out that video by Andreas. I mean, it was interesting to me because he seemed to be a bit concerned as well. But other than that, I think Bitcoin is Bitcoin, and I don't even mix it with fiat. I don't concern myself with so much about what it's worth. If I have a Bitcoin today, it's a Bitcoin tomorrow. And in the long term, I think it's going to do well.
I agree with you. I think we'll be fine in the long term. But in the short term, I got no idea.
Thanks for your contribution to the community.
Thank you so much for your call. Give us a call anytime.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
All right, and we're open up for calls again on 518-600-1949. I haven't seen this Andreas video. I did see the headline that he's not a fan of a Bitcoin ETF, and I was shocked. As per usual, Andreas is stepping out in a different direction there. Maybe he's being contrarian or something like that. Hello, caller. You're live on the World Crypto Network. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Hey, what's up, Thomas? This is Hourglass. I'm just calling from Arizona.
All right. How's it going, Hourglass? What's on your mind about Bitcoin today?
I actually just wanted to touch upon a topic that relates to Bitcoin, but that is very close to it. I'm just talking about applications. And so the applications we use on our phone today, I want to kind of touch upon the evolution of that. I think that computers in general, technology in general has been exponentially increasing over the years. So this apps came with Apple. I think they got really popular. We started to hear there's an app for that. That was a very popular slogan in the US, I would say 10 years ago. I just, when I was in high school, I couldn't help but hear that everywhere. And then nowadays, 10 years later, we have things that are coming out with crypto D-apps, right? So decentralized applications. I feel like the thing that happened with Alex Jones, the censorship behind YouTube and the censorship behind a couple other platforms in social media kind of affected the way everything it affected my judgment and my curiosity about how YouTube and all these applications are very centralized, and and that just made it more apparent to me after, that small thing with Alex Jones. Honestly, I don't really care about him. He has a lot to say, but the more subject to me was the censorship behind it, like how they just shut him out basically out of the internet. I feel like I just wanted to get your opinion on the decentralized applications and the evolution of applications in general and technology, I guess.
Sure. Well, we've talked about the Alex Jones issue, and certainly people have strong opinions on either side, and it's fine to express them here. And mainly, I would look at it that this was a broken system beforehand. I warned people for years about Facebook and YouTube and even Google and these other large centralized stores of data, silos basically, where they store all of our information, and that these things could be hacked from the inside or they could be hacked from the outside, and that just in general, we were taking old ideas like the idea of a public commons or a public square, and then we were kind of falsely applying them to Facebook, just like we did in the 80s with the malls. People came in and they built these big shopping malls. And when they first started, they said things like, you'll be able to have town meetings here, and the people will be able to meet and gather in the mall. But then it turns out the first time that you tried to have a political meeting in the mall, they threw you right out. The first time you tried to have a town hall meeting that wasn't, in favor of the mall, they threw you right out. The malls were private property. They were private property masquerading as public property. And everyone thought, oh, it's public, but it's not. So Facebook, YouTube, these other things are clearly private property. They need the ability to censor them. Certainly, Alex is more questionable on his acceptability. But if we take something clearly not acceptable, like video of someone being murdered or oceans and seas of blood or something horrible, we have to say that YouTube has the right to take something horrible off of their private property. And
Yeah,
we're
absolutely.
huge about property rights. So I'm on that side of it. I think these things have been bad since the beginning. I've been in favor of the open and free internet, open source, projects that are interoperable that can use the same back end. You could publish to this site and that site at the same time, stuff like that. I think that's the way to go. We are seeing a little bit of a turn. I'm not so sure about the decentralized applications, but just in general, with Bitcoin and everything that it forces you to do, like holding your private keys. I think that computers are getting better. I think a lot of the things on computers, we were in a big rush to get things done, and we didn't care how we did it. And that left us to a place where a lot of systems are insecure. And I think now, because of Bitcoin, we're starting to see a hardening of these systems. If you're going to hold private keys on your desktop computer, it better be pretty good. If you're going to hold private keys on your phone, it better be pretty good. And the things that excite me are things like the secure enclaves. They said that they're going to have a part of the phone that's a separate chip. And again, it gets technical, sure. But at a very basic level, that separate chip would be like a safe. And you could keep your private key in that safe. And when your phone needs to use that private key, it could negotiate with the safe, but the private key would never leave the safe. So I'm excited for those ideas. Distributed applications, they have the same problem as normal applications, which is how do you get people to use them? And in the past, getting people to use them has usually involved giving up all of your data and control and then getting to use Facebook. So if they can't make the same deal, I don't know how they're going to get the money to advertise the dApps to get all the users, to get them to give you their private information and so forth. So
Yeah, that's that's a lot of interesting stuff there. Definitely, I feel that the Facebook has that purpose and that right, really, as a company, a centralized company, to ban anything they want, really, if it violates their terms and agreements. But at the same time, I do feel like that there's the purpose of the internet was obviously that it's almost like a free world in there. And that's the reason why the dark net exists to an extent. I know like Silk Road was kind of taken down, but decentralized applications I feel like are very immature at this state, and we're just kind of breaching that consciousness of what can happen in there. Yeah, definitely. They also, I agree, they have the same problems as centralized apps or applications. That's basically people using them. It's all about adoption in any game of technology. So I definitely see a lot of points there, man. But I see a couple people calling. Kind of want to cut it short, but I appreciate you, man, and everything that you do. Thank you. I'll reach back to you very soon.
All right. Thank you so much, Hourglass, and give us a call anytime. And I'm going to talk about this a little bit more, so stay to tune in. I'm going to disconnect the call though. Yeah, I blame a lot of this on Alex Jones, and I don't care about his content or whatever. I go back to the specific rules that he broke when he was temporarily banned from live streaming on YouTube. They put a 90-day ban. Let's see. Hold on. I'm going to hold off on calls for just about 5 minutes here. Then we'll come right back to calls. But Alex was put on a 90-day ban from live streaming. Now, any normal person would, be bummed out, and you'd complain a lot on Twitter, and you'd go on other platforms and you'd tell people about it and so forth. But what Alex did is he went to one of his other YouTube channels and started live streaming on there. And certainly, legalese and all those things. Maybe it was a different channel and it's a different thing, but it's clear by the purpose of the ban, the purpose of the rules, that he was to take a 90-day break, and instead he broke that. So that's a clear flaunting of the rules that has nothing to do with his content. If he was rightly or wrongly put on the 90-day suspension, he treated that suspension by flaunting the rules. The other thing that I blame Alex Jones for on this is not having a backup plan. I don't know how long you guys have been watching Alex Jones, but I watched one of his videos from 1997 where he went to national parks and complained about UNESCO. Alex at that time was saying that the UNESCO World Heritage Project was a secret plan by the world government to own all of our national landmarks and parks. And he might be right, who knows? But that was his theory back in 97, and it's been so long, and there's been so many alleged monsters and alleged giant monsters that Alex has been fighting. Why doesn't he have a backup plan? It seems obvious to me that Alex Jones is going to be kicked off YouTube. It seems absurd that he was ever on YouTube in the first place. Like the caller said, he should be on Silk Road Tube. He should be on some distributed tube. Like the fact that he's so easy to reach with his bizarre, controversial opinions just should stick out of your mind and shouldn't make sense, right? He should have a backup plan. Recently, I saw that he went over to Vimeo and he put a couple of videos on Vimeo, and then he got banned from Vimeo. So with all those millions of dollars he took in from advertising and all this and so forth, he should have had a real legitimate backup plan. We should be going to Alex's server now. We should be going to DTube or Steemit or some other distributed, torrented, decentralized version. He should have a server farm ready with his archives, and he should just pull a switch. If the monsters are real, why wouldn't you have a backup plan? And I listened to an interview with Alex Jones's wife this morning. You guys might find it very interesting. I don't have a link to it, but it's out there. I'm sure you can find it. And Alex Jones's wife said that during the trial, Alex did in fact come up and say that he was a provocateur, that he was an actor, and that he didn't really believe the things he said. But she said personally in their home life and so forth, that Alex does believe all of these things, and that he is a kind of a disturbed person that might need our help and compassion. There's a lot of panic and fear inside of Alex Jones, and I don't know that he has a way to deal with that. And his wife just, talked about him and gave the story behind the scenes, and she's concerned for him. But what she also said that I found really interesting is that Alex Jones changed. And I know you guys are big fans of him, some of you, and some of you aren't. And it's cool to be either way, to have your opinion. But when I used to listen to Alex Jones back in the day, he agreed with me that both of the parties were no good, and that really not a lot of good change could come from the system. And it was more about setting up our own systems outside of the traditional two-party system. In the last few years, I haven't been listening to him much, but as his wife said, he had a major change. Alex Jones suddenly went from being the no two parties, no vote for anybody, just spread information and survive on your own, to supporting Donald Trump. She mentioned that Roger Stone came into their lives and maybe something happened. Maybe there was a deal. I don't know what happened. But Alex suddenly became very political and very much in support of one of the political parties and one of the politicians. That politician became president, and now Alex has perhaps a famous friend. But we don't know. I just think it was very interesting to see how he'd change. Certainly, it was his ex-wife. She used to be his wife. I do not believe he's been married multiple times, although I just don't know his background right now. And while, I'm certainly the person in the chat is saying that we shouldn't trust his ex-wife because she has a hatchet to bury and so on and so forth. But she actually seemed like a very reasonable person. And although, she was questioning Alex's, cognitive ability and his emotional and mental stability, it seemed like she was doing it from a place of kindness, despite their divorce and so forth. But that's just a little bit on the Alex Jones story. I've been following it like everybody else. I don't have any specific insider information. I don't know, which rule he broke on YouTube or all these kind of things. But I appreciate you guys bringing it up, and I enjoy talking about it. And I want to go ahead and reopen phone calls. So if you want to call us now at 518-600-1949. Also, if I do get a phone call on the line, it's best to just stop calling until we open up phone calls again. I don't know how to turn off call waiting on Google Voice. I looked it up. It didn't seem to be one of the options that I was given. So we are going to have some call waiting noise if people call multiple times. If there aren't any calls, I will read the rest of Steve Jobs' commencement address. They called right after that. Hello, caller. You're live on the World Crypto Network. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Hi, Thomas. This is Chris. I'm in Chicago.
All right, Chris, what's on your mind about Bitcoin today? Or do you want to talk about Alex Jones or anything else we covered today?
I wanted to share my experience with the Lightning Network, actually using it on the Windows operating system and setting it up myself.
That sounds great. How did it go?
Experience about how it actually works, and I can allay a lot of people's fears.
All right, go ahead. Tell us about it.
All right, basically, to begin the process, you do have to buy some Bitcoin from Square, and you can move Bitcoin off of Square, but you can't send money back into Square if you want to cash out. So you're still going to have to go to like traditional sources to try to turn that Bitcoin into cash, but that's really not the point of what we're trying to do, right? So once you get the money off Square, you have to send it to what I use, the Eclair wallet, because the Zap wallet, I've never been able to get working right. They just released an update today, and I'm just in the process of trying to download, and it's taking hours and hours, and I won't know how it works until I get the blockchain downloaded. But as far as the Eclair wallet, I've had it up and running for a couple of months now, and I've had no problems connecting it to my Bitcoin node and sending and receiving payments to my Android phone.
So the Eclair wallet is on Android, just to confirm. It's not an iOS wallet.
Well, they do have, I believe they have an iOS wallet. I'm not sure. I didn't check that. But I just use an Android, so I just know the setup that I have.
All right, so that sounds great. So you were able to send Bitcoin just as normal to the wallet. And what do you do next? How do you get the Bitcoin into a payment channel?
Okay, well, basically, when you set up a wallet, let me be clear. When you set up a node, a Bitcoin node and wallet on Windows, you can send and receive payments. People can connect to your channel, like what you see when you go to any website and you want to set up payment channels directly with nodes. When you run the Eclair wallet, on Android, you can only send payments because you're not running a full node on your phone. So you can't receive payments. So in order to set up a Lightning channel, what you basically have to do is get money in the wallet. The Eclair wallet isn't SegWit enabled, so you can send money directly from Square as a normal Bitcoin transaction into your Eclair wallet on your cell phone. Once you have the money in the wallet, there's just a little arrow. You press the arrow and it says, open up a Lightning channel. You can go find Lightning channels on different websites online, or, you can go into chats like on a lot of these places and you can connect up to someone else's, find someone with a node and they'll give you the information so you can get connected to the network. Now, once you have that connection established with the network, let's say for 0.1 Bitcoin, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, that was just a call waiting. Go ahead, keep going.
Okay. No, once you have a channel open, to allay people's fears, you're basically just moving that Bitcoin into a smart contract that says, I have this 0.1 Bitcoin open to the network. The person that you have the channel open to can't touch it. That's guaranteed by the protocol. It's just an amount of Bitcoin that you have available that you can send to anyone in the network. The transaction cost, to be absolutely clear, whenever you send a transaction through a channel to someone you're directly connected to, there are no fees. There's 0 fees, because I've done it for myself and I've tested it today. But when you use that connection to say ABC widgets to send a payment through the network to some other site, they will charge a small amount of fees. But what I found is that it's like 1/100th of a cent to actually do this. Now, the only way you get your money back, and this is key to understanding why Bitcoin is the underlying currency and the Lightning Network isn't some attempt at a takeover. The only way you get your money, get paid, is by closing the channel and settling back to the Bitcoin chain. When you receive those funds, it goes into the capacity of that channel. So say, for instance, you're running the actual Android app that you can both send and receive. It's called the Bitcoin Lightning Wallet. And you have 0.1 capacity. The only way you can receive, and this is the only Android wallet that I found that can actually receive Bitcoin, the only way you can receive it is by first sending some out. So let's say you send half of that amount out. That opens up amount of capacity in 0.05 of Bitcoin on that channel. So that means that that Android wallet can receive 0.05 Bitcoin to refill that channel up. In order to receive again, you have to empty that channel, or, send money out first to make space to receive the money back in. But in order to settle, you have to close that channel and send a closing channel transaction to the Bitcoin network. So the miners are still involved. You're just taking the arduous job of dealing with the scale and putting it on the individual, and giving the individual the ability to make scale a meaningless argument anymore, especially when you can open direct channels.
So what's the deal with withdrawals or with receiving Lightning payments? Why do only some of the wallets have it? What's the deal with this invoice idea that I keep hearing so much about?
Okay, I was just chatting with Jimmy Mao on the Slack channel for the Zap wallet, and the capability to just send money to someone, like if I were to open up a channel to you, I could not send you a Lightning tip. You actually have to send me a request for a certain amount for whatever I say, and that's very inconvenient. When I relate this to Jimmy Mao and the developers over on the Zap Slack channel, they told me that that capability is oncoming, but they're working on some other things first. The only way that you could actually do that is by setting up like a BTC Pay server or something, or some interface that will automatically create those QR codes. I don't know if does that make it any clearer?
Yeah, they're gonna have to figure that out, because that sounds pretty complicated. So to send, it's no problem. You take your Bitcoin, you transfer them, you put them in a payment channel. It's kind of like a smart contract. Then you're ready to go. You can buy your coffee. You can send me a tip, whatever you want to do. But to receive, what you're saying is that it's much more, relatively more complicated. You have to kind of set up a server. Then the server gives you this invoice that has your QR code.
No.
Go ahead, tell me about
Let me be clear. It is very easy to send and receive payments, but only running Bitcoin node on your home PC with the main Bitcoin wallet running and combined with the Lightning Network app Claire can send and receive. Or the Zap wallet. The Zap wallet has a capability without having to run the Bitcoin Core wallet. But when you're on the phone, if you're going to use your phone, there are certain limitations because you're not running a Bitcoin Core wallet on your phone. With the Eclair Android app, you can only send payments. And it's very easy. You just have to open up a channel, and however much you open up that channel for, that's who you can send to anyone on the network. But in order to receive, you have to use the Bitcoin Lightning wallet on Android. You open up a channel, but you have to first send some money out of that channel to make space for you to receive it in. That's all it is.
All right. Well, it sounds pretty good. It's still pretty complicated. I might have to get an Android tablet or Android phone or something so I could try this out. They keep doing this to me. I have the Apple thing and I can't try the Android thing. And the last time I had this problem, I had my Mac and I was all like hardcore about not using Windows. So I didn't buy a computer to go try out Bitcoin mining and stuff back in the day. So that was a pretty big mistake too. So I should probably have more platforms available to me so I can try out
Well,
things.
well, no, I mean, they're working on the Zap wallet iOS first. You can actually download the Zap iOS wallet, but it only works on the test net. If you wanted to use it on the live net, you have to change a few settings and point it to your Bitcoin wallet on your main computer. But most people don't want to go through that. But you can still run the Zap iOS for the I don't know the Apple operating system for the desktop, but whatever their desktop operating system is, you can still operate Zap iOS, Bitcoin Wallet, and Eclair as well as like on Windows. But as far as the cell phones go, the only experience I have is with the 2 Android Lightning apps that are available.
Well, it sounds better than it used to be, and I think we're getting closer to having it down to the level of users. So I might just wait until they get closer to me. But I think they are getting closer, and it sounds much more usable than it used to be. So thank you so much for the call and the information about Lightning.
Hey, no problem.
All
Thanks
right.
for taking my call.
All right, give us a call anytime and check in with us maybe when you get the next thing fixed or the next thing running, and we'll do another update.
All right, I'll do that.
All right, thank you so much. And thanks to everybody who called today. We had a great time on Bitcoin Talk Show. We're heading towards the end of the show. We got about 3 minutes left or so. We'll try to fill that out. Jeremy in the chat saying, jailbreak your phone. And I used to jailbreak my phone for a long time, and it was for the funniest features. You guys will laugh now. I used to jailbreak my phone so I could get access to categories. The Apple iPhone didn't ship with the ability to put apps in folders. And if you wanted to put apps in folders, you had to be some kind of crazy computer hacker and jailbreak your phone. So those are the kind of features that I couldn't live without. And eventually, Apple added categories, and I don't need to jailbreak my phone anymore to keep it organized and neat. So that was pretty neat for me. I'm not going to read you guys the rest of Steve Jobs' commencement today. Maybe I'll save it for another day. Jeremy says, if your phone isn't jailbroken, you don't own your phone. And I would agree with him on a technical perspective, but I would also say you don't own the problems on your phone. There's a lot of things where jailbreaking can cause problems and other things can cause problems. And for me, I pay Apple to take care of that, and Apple fixes it. And if they don't, then I'm going to get a new phone or something, get something different. But really, again, I'm part of an ecosystem, and I pay more to be part of the ecosystem, so I have to deal with less problems. And if you guys don't want to be and you want to be in the Windows ecosystem, you can certainly pay less and have more problems. It's up to you. I've used Windows for many, many years, and I always found that I would end up using Windows instead of ending up doing my work and using the computer. When I started using Mac, I found it much easier to just edit video and export video and be done with it rather than spending my time learning about drivers and RAM and other issues that I would have on Windows and this install and that update and this update broke that thing and this program broke and all these things. So Jeremy says you can't install ad blockers without jailbreaking. Dun dun dun. I don't know. It depends. I guess you could get that Brave wallet or something if you really want it. Firefox has an ad blocker in it. It was pretty good. I kind of like the mobile Firefox better than the desktop Firefox. It seemed to have less bugs. But we are at the end of the show. I have no idea if it's showing the QR codes or anything anymore. Google seems to have failed me. At least here on the local version, it looks like everything is showing up fine, and all of our graphics have been out there. But they told me when I tried to play the video that it wasn't switching screens, something like that. But I do have different Hangout windows, different accounts, different screens. I have a variety of windows and programs running. But that's always how it is. So as always, you can support the World Crypto Network by giving us a thumbs up down below. That's really important. That's how YouTube discovers whether or not something's a good video. Videos that get lots of thumbs up are generally good videos, and YouTube can suggest them to other people. So when you give us a thumbs up, you're saying, YouTube, show this video to other people. It's pretty good. And be sure to come back after the video renders to leave a comment. We're having a discussion in the comments, probably about Alex Jones and Bitmain and the price of Bitcoin and all these other things, Zap Wallet and all these things. So just join us in the conversation. Join us on Twitter at Mad Bitcoins or at WorldCryptoNet. And thanks so much for joining us. We'll be back tomorrow. Until next time, bye-bye.